Welcome everyone to another video. Today we are going to be discussing Doctor Doom, all things Doctor Doom. And if you can't tell by the other three faces I have in this video, you may recognize them from a previous video we did talking about the Sony Spider-Man universe. This is the Point 3 podcast. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well. I'm doing really well. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you guys here.
Thank you for having us on.
No problem. No problem. It's always fun to collaborate. So yeah, if you guys don't know who the Point 3 podcast are, I have all the links down below and all their, the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everything's down there, so you can go check them out. Make sure to go check out our previous conversation as well, because that was a lot of fun, and definitely dug through some deep dirt in that video, so that was a fun experience. But today we're going to be talking all things of Marvel's greatest villain, in my opinion, Doctor Doom. And with Fantastic Four First Steps coming out in the next couple weeks, I think this is a great time to talk about him, because obviously Avengers Doomsday is coming out, Avengers Secret Wars is coming out. He is the next big villain of the MCU. And I just wanted to kind of get a general sense of your guys' connection with the character, what you guys might expect from him in the MCU, and just some rapid fire questions at the end that will kind of turn into a bit of a challenge. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes. All right, so let's kick things off. So I'm going to get into a few personal questions. So I'm going to ask each of you, when were you first introduced to the character of Doctor Doom? So I'm going to start with you, Lou. Do you want to start us off with this question?
You know what? I'm real quick. Hero, I got to throw this over to you. What game were we just talking about the other day? And I was like, I need this in my veins, and I can't believe I don't have it.
Marvel Rivals?
Not Marvel Rivals, another Marvel game.
Ultimate Alliance, baby!
No.
What?
No?
Superhero.
Oh, yeah, no, he's good in that too.
Game?
Superheroes, yeah. It's in the past.
Capcom. Marvel vs. Marvel Superheroes.
It's Marvel Superheroes. Marvel Superheroes is what I can remember as far back as like my first introduction to Doom, and just being like, he's in the demo of the game, and I'm like, well, he looks really cool. And then you're at the arcade and you're playing, and it's like him versus Magneto, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, but I want to know more about that guy. So Doom, like, it was through a video game, but for me, just seeing his presence in the classic suit with the cape, with the hood, seeing the metallic suit, like just the whole fit in his face up close, I fell in love with Dr. Doom, and I was like, I need to see him any way possible. Luckily, I have an older sibling who was just like, oh yeah, I know Doom, and like, that's how it started for me. And I just, ever since, like, I remember it like that was yesterday.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right, Hero.
Yeah, it's a combination. Oddly enough, Fantastic Four, the movie, 2005.
Oh really?
God.
Okay.
Yeah, for real. I was what, six or seven, around that time. So movie came out. I remember seeing him, and I thought, wow, this character just looks really cool. Dude, look cool, shot lightning out of his hands, and as a young child, that you can't get cooler than shooting lightning out of your hands and looking like a man of metal. Fast forward, and we're racking on that, in 2025, but it was still cool. And then also, I know SB's going to bring it up, but Ultimate Alliance, because I remember got that on the PlayStation Portable, actually, the PSP. Good old PSP. Wow. My parents bought Ultimate Alliance for me. Yeah,
that's a throwback.
And
the PSP version went hard. Don't sleep on it.
It was awesome. The PlayStation 2 version is infinitely better, but PSP version, awesome. And I just remember the opening cutscene. You have them on the helicarrier. Dr. Doom just interrupts the feed, talking to Nick Fury, and just like, oh man, this is. I remember seeing him, and I'm like, oh, that's from the Fantastic Four, and thinking, oh man, but he felt so much cooler. So, yeah. That combination for me.
Nice. Yeah, Ultimate Alliance Doom was really well done. He's so good in those. All right, SB, finish us off with this question.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance was definitely my first introduction to Doom, and he just felt so menacing in that game, being the main villain, and did the Masters of Evil. I think, yeah, he did the Masters of Evil on that.
Yep.
And it was just so cool. I forgot what he titled it. It was, I don't know, but he was just badass and menacing, and being able to put like whatever team of characters you want up against everybody in that game, and kind of just seeing Doom in the background doing everything. Um, Hero, he pretty much says everything that we say with Ultimate Alliance, but it's just awesome. I didn't see Fantastic Four in theaters, so I remember. I remember when I did see it, I had like the opposite of seeing like, damn, Doom was cool in the game, and now he was pretty cool being a kid back then in the '05 movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out, I do want to say, shout out to the one thing that Ultimate Alliance that not every version did, but the much later versions did. I think the complete version, allowing you to play as Doctor Doom. Like they
Oh.
had a villains pack, and yeah, Doctor Doom was in it. So PSP didn't have that though. So
Yeah, all great introductions. For me, just for context, I was introduced to Doctor Doom through, I guess, all the various kind of cartoons that were coming out in the early 2000s, like Spider-Man shows, the Avengers, like Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That was one of the first times I saw him too. And yeah, he was always like, it's Doctor Doom. I know he's a big deal. I didn't really know he was a high caliber villain until much later on, but that was my first introduction, was across all of those cartoons and those TV shows when I was younger, and kind of getting a sense of, okay, this guy's a ruler of a foreign country. He's a very powerful technology sorcery based villain, and yeah, he seems to be in everyone's kind of different realm, like X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. He's dealing with all of them, so yeah, that was my introduction. The next one, and this might kind of tie into your introduction. You might have a bias towards it, but do you have a favorite interpretation of Doctor Doom? And I'm gonna go with Hero on this one. You want to kick us off?
comics,
Comics.
for sure. Comics for sure, and the main reason is kind of what you were alluding to about how he crosses over with everyone, and
Yep.
every time you see him, you're just like, oh man, something's gonna happen. Especially over these past couple years, where things with Blood Hunt and where he is at now with One World Under Doom, and
Yeah.
he's the Sorcerer Supreme, and like all of these events are revolving around him. It's so cool. And then even things like collecting some of these other things, these older things like this supervillain team up, and kind of reading through these older books and seeing like how he's making these other villains team up with him because
Yep.
he's like, if you don't do it, I'm just gonna kill you. Like that kind of thing is really cool. The villain to rule all villains. So I think other interpretations have come close to that, to the comic adaptation. I would definitely say Ultimate Alliance and probably Earth's Mightiest Heroes are probably like the two that I would say are really up there.
For sure.
But I still think comics is his best interpretation just because of how much they're able to do with him.
Yeah, and there's so much history there too. It's over 60 years of him in that medium doing so many different things. Yeah. All right, SB.
I want to say Ultimate Alliance just because that's what I very know from the most. I've been reading a couple Doom comics recently, and he was really cool in Fantastic Four Unthinkable. I don't care what people may say about his costume in there, but I thought he was pretty badass, and seeing the whole sorcerer magical side with it, and just manipulating that person to be like, yeah, like we're gonna date again, and then be like, psych, I used you to get my magic back. I was like, holy crap. So maybe that's my favorite. Maybe I'll put Unthinkable as my favorite version of Doom.
That's a nice pick.
Sounds medicine.
Very unexpected pick, but very good pick.
Yeah.
All right, Lou.
Yeah, without going into too much, because I know we have a lot to get to, definitely the comics. I mean, I think Doom in the comics, when you finally get into him, if you're intrigued like the way that I was, it's just, outside of it and wanting to know more. And at that point he's been around for almost 30 years by the time I got around to him, almost 40 actually. But you get him on levels of like he crosses over all planes in Marvel comics, to where whether it's it's world domination, whether it's locally based, whether it's versus the Fantastic Four, whether it's a cosmic entity that he's facing. Like there's so many ways that you can see so many sides of Doom, um, but then boil it down to like he's just such a complex character, and the significance of his character really lies in between the pages for me. So that's definitely all things Doom. That's where I can get lost over and over, even prepping for Secret Wars. I mean, you look at Doom in 84 and then Doom in 15. It's just two different interpretations of Doom, but at the end of it you're like, that's Doom. Like that's Doom. He's awesome.
Yeah, and to add on to that, for my favorite interpretation, it's 1984 Secret Wars or the 2015 Secret Wars, because reading the 1984 Secret Wars, that was probably the first comic I read that really had Doom involved. And finishing that, I was like, Doom is my favorite villain now. Like, he was so badass in that, and just his relentless quest to get all the power and just prove himself as the most powerful being ever was so compelling to me. And I was like, I need to know more about this guy. So then I read 2015 Secret Wars, and he just topped it right there. Like, God Emperor Doom is a whole other level. And his, the way they show him having all that power, and then it's suddenly everything goes wrong for him and it's stripped away from him. And what is he now? He's back to being, a lesser version of himself. He's probably still, extremely powerful, but he's not God Emperor Doom anymore. So it's a really great character progression, seeing those two interpretations, and those have always stuck with me as my favorites.
And they stick out so well just because of, like you said, how they use him, where you think about the things that he does and how they allow them to put him over these other villains in the A4 version, specifically Galactus, where back then you gotta think like Galactus was the big one, and then Doom took his powers. And like back then I can only imagine being a reader of that, getting to that issue and then having to wait another little bit to be like, oh man, what's gonna happen next? And then you see him continually get stronger and stronger, and you're like, oh my god. And fast forward 2015, you get, like you said, God Emperor Doom, and he's just decimating everybody. He has these barons, he has the heroes under him. He's just so cool in how they go about establishing those relationships for him. So
I think
for sure.
I think one thing that we were just talking about actually a couple days ago, Nate, was there are certain characters in like other mediums that we really like, and I've been thinking about this over and over and over again. And when it comes to Marvel and Doom specifically, the cool thing about Doom is exactly what you're saying with 84 and 15 Secret Wars, to where he's someone who chases not just power, but he wants to be among the gods, if not higher. Like the divine power is what he seeks, and it's so much larger than your common criminal or your basic, like even Avengers level threat for the most part, right? But like the one thing about Doom is he understands right and wrong. He understands the good versus evil. He understands all that. He makes a conscious decision to be whatever he needs to be to seek that divine level power. And that is so cool to see it on display for 67 years, something along those lines. Like he's a timeless character, and it's just I'm so happy we get to talk about him.
You worded it perfectly. Just he's willing to do whatever it takes to get whatever he wants. That's the best thing about him, is he's very determined to show he's the only capable person of leading, humankind and Latveria, and everyone's beneath him, and he just wants that power. No matter if it's just power on Earth, power in the universe, power in the multiverse. He wants it all, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get it.
And it's the small moments within books that really show that and let that shine. The two big examples that I think of is when Valeria was born, and like you would think, well, the villain would let the baby die, But he's like, no, I'm gonna get one up on you, and I'm gonna help you
Yeah.
birth your baby, but under the condition that I get to name her. Like that's such a big like villain wild
Wild.
move.
That's a big
And then
one up on Reed. Yeah.
absolutely, and he has to live with that forever.
Yep.
And then the other one that I always think about that I really really love is in the Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals, the Judgment Day
Oh yeah.
event. And the Celestial comes to him and he's like, you know, your test is to say that Reed Richards is better than you. And he just laughs at him and walks away, and the Celestial lets him live. And it's like, wait, you passed?
That's aura.
It is. It's like it just shows you those cool moments of what he really thinks, and you get to see all of that in between those little moments.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, so we've covered the personal connections with the character. Let's move into some MCU stuff. So, what does the MCU's Doctor Doom need to do to satisfy you? I'm going to start with SB on this one.
Ooh. Obviously, I'm gonna first off not. I do not want it to be like a Tony Stark variant, and I don't think we're getting that. I'm hoping we're not getting that because they obviously introduced him as Victor Von Doom, but I don't. I just don't want like any. They're somehow gonna do it, but I don't want like a big connection with Stark and stuff like that. I want him to feel like his own, like just character and Doctor Doom and stuff. And I want him somehow, which somehow we'll find out in a couple weeks if he is in Fantastic Four or not, but I somehow wish he was in there to plant the seed for Doomsday, and like more so than like a post-credit scene if we do get him in a post-credit scene. So for me, he's gotta come in guns blazing and show why he wants that power and why he's pretty gonna go after the multiverse, I guess. And then needs to just not be connected to that Tony Stark story or the Iron Man storyline.
Yeah, that's definitely a big question mark surrounding that character right now. Is the RDJ part of it. All right, Lou, over to you.
Yeah, for Doom in the MCU, I think you want him, obviously he's the big bad, and you want him to be someone who could stand against the god tier, the Avengers, the cosmic entities, like the examples we just gave, like have that on display. But when he's with Reed specifically, it feels like he's at his peak and most dangerous, right? And from Reed kind of expanding it to the larger subset of the team, I think it would be cool if he is basically looked at like kind of like the darker reflection of the team and kind of being that mirror to the four of Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben.
Yep.
So you can have, I think some of the strongest stories when it comes to protagonists and antagonists is you do have those reflections, this light versus dark, yin and yang, that type of thing. But he's able to play not only with the team, but then also feed off of every other villain that's in here and still stand strong at the end of the day across the room from Reed. And ultimately that is the final battle, is when they come to blows at whatever end of the saga or phase that it may be, that Doom has in the MCU.
Yep. Perfectly said. All right, Hero.
It's two very big things, and I think the first one is going to be the bedrock, honestly, is the look. I think the look has to hit. Yeah. He needs to look cool. We need to look at him and be like, yeah, that's Doctor Doom. This is honestly the part that I have the most confidence in for the MCU version, especially looking at kind of their kind of recent run on live action adaptations suits.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to get it right. I really hope so. But I also hope power set wise, we're able to get a cool display between the magic and the technology aspect.
Yes.
If you've watched Ironheart, you know that there's a good solid foundation for that. So yeah, I really think those are the two things. Show me how cool he is. It really could just be one. The look. How does he look on screen? When I see him, do I get that aura feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Or is he just kind of bland? Which I don't think he will be.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I need is a big mix of basically everything you guys said. He needs to feel like a big deal. And with him probably being introduced to the MCU in Doomsday, there's very little, Thanos was built up over the Infinity Saga. We knew he was coming, we knew he was a big deal. And in this, he's just going to suddenly appear, like it seems right now. And he's going to be like, okay, guys, I'm coming after you. You need to, stop me, that kind of thing. So there is a chance it will feel, kind of cheap. But I think with the Russos involved, they know the weight of this character. And especially Feige, he just got the rights back to this character. He's going to want to put whatever aspect into it that really makes him stand out as an even bigger threat than Thanos was, because this is a multiversal threat now. What does that mean for, all the other characters that weren't involved in Infinity War and Endgame? Like, this is a bigger scope now, and he just needs to have that presence. The really, powerful, dark, menacing presence that Doctor Doom has in, the comics, games, TV shows, everything. He needs to have that and maybe a bit more to really satisfy me. So, yeah, it's a big list, though. It's a big, big list. That's just the main thing. Yeah?
I got one more for you.
All right.
That I think that shouldn't be a miss. Those are Doombots.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Doombots in the MCU could be very, very interesting. I know we've had Ultron, obviously. We've had Tony, and we've had tons of suits and iterations, and we just got another Iron suit. But Doom's use of Doombots is very clever.
Yeah.
They're very interesting. They throw curves into the plots of the stories that he's in. I would like to see a very strong use of Doombots in here to make them not feel like they're expendable and, just useful in a big, Marvel fight montage in some hallways or something like that.
No, there's definitely got to be a reason for them and a clear threat with them too. Like, in the comics, they think they captured Doom. Oh wait, it's just a Doom bot. Doom's somewhere else. They need to do something like that.
That's the big thing of that constant one up. I have that one up on you. Yeah. The best example I can think of, and again, I always go back to these very early comics, but I can only imagine as a reader back then, how do you react? Very early Amazing Spider-Man issue. It's under the first 10 issues. I can't remember which one it is. I want to say 7. It's probably wrong. But it's where they first meet him and Doctor Doom, and they battle each other for most of the issue. And then at the end, it is a Doom bot.
Yeah. His first appearance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just holy crap. How do you feel, as a reader to be like, dude, that wasn't even him?
Yeah.
Is RDJ just a Doombot?
I don't know. That could tie into something.
In a perfect world, his first appearance, I feel wouldn't be bad if he was a Doombot. I wouldn't hate that.
Either.
It's number 5, by the way. Amazing Spider-Man issue 5.
Close, bro.
Yeah, it was close.
All right, next big question for the MCU. If you had full creative reins of Doctor Doom in the MCU, how would you approach crafting the character with respect to the greater MCU?
Ooh.
Where would you put him in? How would you build him with what the current MCU looks like?
Can I remove my recency bias on this?
I'm just going to leave it open for a minute to let you guys think.
We had about a 3-hour conversation at Heroes Corner about this very thing. So I'm going to take aspects of that because I think it was really good. And I'm not going to remember exact details because we laid out literally the entirety of the MCU on Post-it notes on a table and we rearranged it completely. But I think, at least for me, the big thing is having his, we were just talking about having his first couple appearances be in these other films and it be Doombots.
Yeah.
I think it would be really, really cool if Doctor Doom is the villain for a Spider-Man, a Fantastic Four 2, a whatever other project that
Avengers.
You can think of, an Avengers, a Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Have that really be, and maybe in Doctor Strange he can show up because maybe the magical part he has to actually be there for it. But yeah, I think multiple projects in a perfect world for me, Secret Wars and Doomsday are 2028, 29 movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you push those a couple of years out and you really have that story be of he's sending the Doombots to have some sort of master plan. I think it could be really cool that he's trying to gather these artifacts within the MCU that we have so far. For example, Miss Marvel and her bands, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, these types of cosmic artifacts that he's just like, I need them. You don't know what, but he needs them for a greater purpose to get to somewhere. You can tie it into the Chaos Dimension, tie it into Loki, and that's ultimately the big power that he gets, and they have to go stop that. Yeah. I think that's how you tell that story. You push it back a few years. With what we have now, genuinely, I haven't got the slightest idea of what they can do.
No.
So I'm hoping they surprise me and it's positive.
Yep. I think we're all hoping that right now because there's very little information that we know of right now about his character. All right, Lou.
So I think if he's showing up, let's just say, Doomsday is Doomsday, there is a world where you could put a post-credit scene at the end of Brand New Day beforehand, and it is a 2 to 3 minute opportunity for you to showcase what Doom is doing. And I think there's 3 main things that I would have him do specifically. And you could potentially tie this in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene as being the first, but I would sprinkle in, I would hope they're filming Doomsday right now. The next post-credit scenes for all films and movies should be Doom related, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To quickly establish him as a threat, I would personally have him be the one to eliminate all Kangs and have him be the one to eliminate Prime Kang from Quantumania. He lives, Doom shows up, and he's done. I would have Doom show up to the TVA and eradicate the TVA, personally. And then I would have him on that post-credit scene send a Doombot who would be revealed to be a Doombot, but you think it's Doom specifically. And I would have him steal Franklin and Richards for sure and take his power. Those would be the first 3 things that I would have Doom do in the MCU. You don't have to change anything. You're just giving us 2 to 3 minutes of Doom doing something that A, fans have been asking for years, and B, did I say 1 or A? I'll just go B. B, being, what else can we do right now that can really establish you without going after Surfer, or Galactus, or the Avengers, the Champions, or whoever it might be. That would be one. If I had to add a 4th thing, be honest with you, I probably would have him show up and talk to Mephisto. We don't know what he would talk about. We don't know if he made a deal. We don't know if he shook hands. But again, kind of playing into that, Mephisto's like Dormammu who, Doom's going to be like Mephisto who. Like, if we keep doing that one-up of, like, big villains, I think we'd all be in MCU heaven.
Yeah. And just when you brought up the whole Kang thing, could you imagine Feige calling up Jonathan Majors saying, we want you to come back as Kang?
Dude,
and then but then he shows up and he's killed right away after that filming. And he was like, well, I thought I was coming back.
I thought you were going to be back.
I thought we were coming back. No. We were just killing you. I just wanted to get you on the set.
Yeah, so you thought.
All right, SB.
Gee, I don't know how to top any of that stuff. I would definitely sprinkle. I like the idea of sprinkling them in through Doombot and post-credit scenes. So I'm gonna take that, and I would just tease him in Fantastic Four, like even if it's not like the whole like Reed versus Doom thing like we've seen in the past Fantastic Fours, just like tease that like our Doomsday is like just RDJ, like just that is Victor Von Doom in that universe, in that like world. They kind of open up the idea, obviously, to separate it from Stark a little bit, and that way it does open it back so that Reed is a little familiar with the name when it comes to like Doomsday or interconnection stuff in Secret Wars. And then I would do, it would be really cool to see Doctor Strange 3 and having Doom be the villain in that. And him and Wanda coming back for Doctor Strange 3 and bringing Mephisto involved and Doom and Mephisto working together against Doctor Strange and Wanda. And that'll be pretty some cool sorcery stuff to like establish Doom's sorcerer side. And him kind of like winning at the end in a way to move on to the next one. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah. You've got all these incursions going on.
Yeah, he could just hop multiverses, dream walk, and like I think if he would probably be interested in getting that dark hole and learning how to dream walk. That'd be cool. That would make his life very easy, especially in any universe that he could play. He's probably gonna play on looking like Tony Stark and like fooling like all the universes to try to like get his power through the tech and money and stuff. So that's how I think it'll go down.
Yeah, I just hope it's not the, hey, I tricked you guys. Sorry about that. I'm going to kill you now. I hope it's not what that is. I really hope
I
that's
hope not
it.
too, but like I don't know what else it could be.
Doombots out. Doombots.
But still, like it's still, even with the Doombots, when it finally does come down to the real Doom, it's still like, hey, I tricked you guys.
Yeah, I really hope that's not what's going to happen though. All right. Final segment. We're going to do some rapid fire yes or no answers right here. And then we're going to pick one and expand on it. We have to collectively choose one. All right.
Sold.
Will Reed and Doom's rivalry be fully explored in Doomsday and Secret Wars? Yes or no?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right. I'm with you on that. Will Doctor Doom be received well by fans?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly don't know, so I'm not gonna say anything about that. Can there be a second Doom introduced at the end of Secret Wars, being the main Doom going forward?
Yes.
Yes.
I also say yes. All right, last one. How many people is Doom killing by his own hand in Doomsday Secret Wars? So just give a number.
5.
Oh, I was gonna say 5. 6.
Okay.
10.
Okay. I'm up there in the
He's
higher
going out
end.
there. I
Rated
think
MA
he's
movie.
going out there.
I'm up
Dude, there's
there
a
in the
lot of
higher end.
characters in this freaking movie, man. They can't be capping all these budgets. They can't be capping all these contracts and everything in the next couple of years.
Do you have any idea what he's doing to the budget?
Yeah, I mean, just think of it. RDJ is doing that's like 90% of the budget right there.
All right. So, which one are we expanding on? What would you like to share your thoughts on more? Reed and Doom's rivalry, his reception, a second Doom, or how many people is he killing?
I think his reception is really interesting,
Okay.
but that's just me.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. SB?
Good with that.
All right. So, what is the biggest aspect that might deter fans from liking or disliking Doom?
Wants to take the stab.
I'm going to leave it open.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I do think I think it's going to be divided into 2. It's going to be for the hardcore comic book fans like us and MCU fans, and then your more casual audience.
Yeah.
For the casual audience, I think the bar is very low.
Yes, for sure.
If you've ever heard us talk about Fantastic Four, that bar for Doctor Doom is on the floor. I don't feel like they have to do a whole lot to pass that. So I think leading back to what we were saying about if they're able to make him look cool, make him feel menacing in a way that none of the movies have been able to make him feel, I think that's going to land with a lot of people, especially it being Robert Downey Jr. For us, while that's still one of those big like head scratcher moments, for a lot of people, that is a big deal. Like
Yeah.
that is a driving force for them to go watch the movie. Like we can't understate that just because we might not be huge fans of it. I think the deterrent for the hardcore comic book fan is how much is he just going to be Tony Stark?
Yeah.
Evil Tony Stark. Is how much is he just going to be evil Iron Man and not Doctor Doom armor? Is it going to be closer to that infamous Iron Man type armor? I think that would really, really not make it land for a lot of people.
Certainly not me.
Yeah. I think it's inevitable. Shout out Thanos. That his face is going to be in a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be dependent on how they explain that away.
Nanotech.
Either nanotech or if they go closer to the Secret Wars 84 route where that power allows him now to fix his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be one of those two things. It's going to be really interesting to see how those two groups of fans really react. And I think those are the big like additions and deterrents.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. There's like the casual audience definitely doesn't know as much as we do about this villain. They see a villain, they'd be like, okay, that was a good villain. We, on the other hand, are going to be, okay, let's pull out the source material. Let's see how accurate this was.
100%.
To check all the boxes. There's going to be a lot more criticism from us, for sure. Lou, what do you think?
Say the question one more time for me to make sure I'm on the right path here. I don't want to start it off wrong.
What will be the biggest deterrent for fans in its positive or negative reception?
Yes. I think, again, knowing that it is Robert Downey Jr., it's kind of the Superman effect in a lot of ways of like, you have fans who love it and you have fans who hate it, but everyone wants to see what happens. Everyone's peering over the fence to be like, is mine better than yours? Is this a good thing? Should I be excited about this? Like, there's a lot of curiosity with this Doom. However, I'm going to steal this for all my wrestling fans out there. There should be a lot of teases with Doom being like, there's something greater coming. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of mentioned a lot of ways of the look, the characterization, the motivations, the interactions. Like, there's so many things that they can do to just get people on board with who Doom is going to be in under the Russos. I think the big thing though will be, does he ultimately come across the Fantastic Four, and will Reed be his final foil? He can look cool all day. He can destroy Celestials. He can be Tony Stark. He cannot be Tony Stark. I don't think any of that matters at the end of Doom's first run in the MCU, unless he gets a Fantastic Four Reed Richards interaction.
Yeah.
Like a solid final fight. And I think that at the end of the day will be the determining factor of the success of Doom in the MCU. And then ultimately kind of set him up in the future. Same thing goes with Reed. They're kind of tied together. Right now, we don't have a whole lot on Reed, and we don't have a whole lot on Doom in the MCU. I think it's really easy to speculate what Doom could be. It's a little bit harder with Reed. But I think in this case, typically you'd see your protagonist be kind of the anchor to whoever the antagonist is going to be, and that is where they feed. But I think Doom in this is going to be that character that, like, he needs to be despised but also understood. And if you can hit that with him, I think that'll be what pulls the gap a little bit closer together between I don't want Doom or I do want Doom fans.
Yeah, really well said. And that relationship there with Reed and Doom is key. You don't have that, you're going to anger a lot of people. And right now, there's very little build up for that. So we'll see what happens. SB?
I think a lot of fans are just going to be confused by it. No matter how they explain it, I just think it's still going to get critiqued, and they're still going to knock points down from the performance that RDJ has or whatever they do with Doom, just because they're just too confused, unfortunately. Like, there's still people that don't like fully understand multiverse after Madness and No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And they're still like, oh, honestly, I'm still a little confused on what freaking Wolverine that is. Or not Wolverine, what true universe that is after, like, the Deadpool Wolverine credits. Or not credits, anyways, multiverse is confusing. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
Yeah.
fans may not like it no matter what, but as long as they do what as long as he has a good performance, I think RDJ is a great actor, obviously, so I'm not worried about that. I think he could definitely pull off like a morally gray and cool, like, obviously we've seen him pull off like an egotistical person before, so he's got that going. But just the confusion is gonna throw a lot of people off.
Yeah, for sure. And right now, RDJ's, he's over 50. It's an old man Doom. where I think a lot of people are wanting a younger one, so we have more longevity with the character. And I think inevitably, again, back to Thanos, we're going to have, after Secret Wars, we're going to have a more younger cast with, Fantastic Four, X-Men. There's going to be more longevity post Secret Wars, I think. And it's going to be interesting to see how Doom is handled in this, and if he is rebooted, how that carries on into their new continuity or whatever they establish after Secret Wars. But yeah, there's a lot of potential with this character. There's a lot of questions regarding him in the MCU, and only time will tell to see if he's handled the way we want, the way we are expecting him to be. If, I'd say keep your expectations pretty low for this, personally. I have a lot of stuff on my wish list with him being my favorite Marvel villain, and I know not all of those are going to be met. So I think from here on out, everyone should keep their expectations pretty low for Doom and just, this, what's coming in the MCU. And yeah, and that's all I got to say about MCU Doom and the fans' reception. So I know we're kind of tight on time, so I kind of skipped through a few questions there, but is there anything else you guys wanted to add to the Doom conversation?
I was going to say R.I.P. Julian McMahon.
Yes.
Julian McMahon,
yeah, Julian McMahon. Yeah.
Yep.
Tragic.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I will also say I do think it might not be a all doom and gloom. Hopefully, I don't eat those words after Doomsday next year. But I'm really hoping that the MCU just is able to keep the positive momentum it's had over the past year and a half-ish of projects. I think if they can continue that forward into Doomsday and Doctor Doom, then I think they might have something special.
Yep. SB, any final thoughts?
Just don't make it Doom and Spider-Man as the main antagonists. As much as I love Spidey, I just don't want that.
Dude, I'm all in for the Doom symbiote Spider-Man battle. Come on.
I'm in for the battle. I'm hyped for them to fight like that, but like I don't want them to replace Tom as like the Reed of like Doom to Reed, and like with that whole stuff, just because Tom's gonna get so much more hate for the freaking Iron Boy Jr. shit again, and I'm like, we're growing past it.
hate
I
you
don't know.
3000.
Yeah,
That's
and
gotta
I
be the
hate you
thing.
3000. That's just gonna be like, oh, Mr. Stark, you're evil. To talk about the freaking fake cheap outs, it's gonna mortify the dude, especially if he's got a symbiote. But
if any two characters in the MCU could deliver on arrogance versus humility, Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. could definitely get
they
that
gotta
done
prove me. They just gotta prove me
by
wrong.
doing it.
They
By
just
doing
gotta
it.
prove me wrong.
It's the only way they can.
I hope I eat my words. I hope I eat my words with all this, with all of it. Because I did actually just pick up a Doom and Spider-Man comic at Heroes Con the other day, and it's like them teaming up. So I was like, oh,
Huh.
maybe.
Keep that away from the Russos. Keep it away from them.
Hide it.
I don't know.
Go
But
watch
that's
this video,
teaming up.
Russos.
Marvel team up? What?
Get Stephen McFeely on it now. We got to read it into the script.
Go. Put that in.
Copy link send.
Yeah.
I know you don't know us, but
All right, final thing I'm going to throw out there. Is there a higher chance we see Doom saying, I hate you 3000, or I am Doom? Not I am Iron Man, I am Doom.
oh no.
I think there's a higher chance of I am Doom.
Definitely higher I am Doom. If they do I hate you 3000, that is purely for
That's
the
Stephen
freaking...
McFeely's getting nominated for an Oscar for writing that line.
Like,
I hope so.
I don't know how any script gets passed with I hate you 3000 in there.
It needs I hate you 3000. It needs to be like on the back of
there's
some,
no-
like a darker AC/DC
Franklin
song.
will say it. Franklin will say it as he gets captured.
There's only one person that knows that, which is Morgan. It's only Morgan that knows it. So what is he gonna say? I hate you 3000 to Tony Stark's daughter?
Yeah. Daddy.
I mean, that does sound pretty fucking menacing. Now that we talk about it.
I would love I am Doom. And that's like 1B for me over Doom does not beg, Doom conquers. I need some of those one-liners.
That's how Doomsday ends for me. Cut to black after he says it.
So,
It would be pretty cool if he referred to himself like in the third person a lot.
Like Doom
is
does not
everything,
tolerate this. Doom does not want
I would,
this. You know, that kind of thing.
unironically,
peasant, bro. Everybody's a peasant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, gimme that.
Make it work, Doombot 1. Make it work.
All right. Well, I think that will kind of round it out for today's discussion. Thank you guys again for joining. This was a really fun conversation. Long overdue. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So, yeah. And with Fantastic Four First Steps coming up, this is pretty relevant. So,
it's just a few weeks away. But no, thank you, man, for having us. It was a blast, and I can't wait to do it again.
No problem, guys. Anytime. And yeah, again, make sure to subscribe to the Point 3 podcast channel and follow their TikTok and Instagram. Congratulations again for passing 200 subscribers. Rightfully deserved. You guys killed it. Got a lot of great content there. A lot of Superman stuff coming soon. Still jealous you guys are seeing it tomorrow as of recording this. So, yeah, a lot to come from the Point 3 podcast in the future. So definitely check them out. You guys always got a supporter in me right here. So
Likewise.
Same.
Likewise. Appreciate
it.
that.
All right. So with all that being said, see you guys in the next video. Thank you for joining. And yeah, that's it.